The next set of questions will give us an equation of the parabola and want us to get the key information. And so the easiest ones are the ones up and through number 46. So the ones that go from 37 to 46 are easy because they're all in the standard form. When we get beyond 46, they're going to be a little bit more challenging. We're going to have to complete the square and build an equation that looks like this. So remember, when it's in its standard form, we can read a lot. So right now, we know our vertex is at hk, and h is 2 and k is -1. So our vertex is at 2, -1. Because remember, the standard form is y minus k squared is equal to 4a x minus h. And so 2, -1 is our vertex. Make sure you get the x coordinate from the point where from the parenthesis that involves the x. That's the most common mistake, is for people to work a left-right pattern as opposed to an xy pattern. So we got our vertex. That's awesome. That's one of the things they want us to find. So where is the focus? Well, the focus is going to depend upon what a is. And take a look at our equation. Remember, this is 4a right here. So what's a? Our a is -1. And you can get your focus by taking your vertex, right, and adding that a to it. So remember what this is. This is a sideways opening parabola. The negative says it's going to open to the left. And so if it's a sideways opening parabola, let me just draw a picture of what we have. Here's 2, -1, and we know it's opening like this. So the focus movement is going to be a right-left movement. And actually, we know it's going to be a left movement. A left by 1 is what we just found. And so what's being adjusted as we move from this point right here, that's the vertex, to a point that's 1 to the left? Well, it's the x-coordinates moving. So everything happens to the non-squared variable, if you haven't picked that up already. So the vertex was the first thing that was identified. Now they want to know the focus, and all we have to do is apply that -1 to the focus, or to the vertex, to get our focus, which is now at 1, -1. And so our focus point is at 1, -1. That's the second part. The third thing that they need is the directrix line. The directrix line is taking that x-coordinate and subtracting the a. So you're going to take your vertex and subtract a from the appropriate one. Now the appropriate one is the non-squared variable. So I'm going to take, remember my vertex had a 2 in its x variable, so I'm going to take and subtract away the -1. So I'm actually going to move forward 1. And this is the directrix line. What is that line? That's the line x equals 3. So notice 2, -1 was our vertex. And what did we do to get the focus? We added a to get the focus. Added a to what? We added a to the x-coordinate, the non-squared coordinate. What are we going to do to get the directrix, which I'll put down here? We're going to subtract a from that. And remember, the directrix is always the non-squared variable is equal to. If you do not write it as a line, I cannot give you credit. It won't be any different in the back. And so if I added, then remember a was -1. If I add -1 to 2, I get the point 1, -1. If I subtract -1 from 2, I end up adding 1, and that's where I get the 3. Just so you can see that be built. I'm sure you're seeing that happen in the examples that are done in the book, but I just wanted to have a verbal description of that as well. But that's the end of the problem. We took that information, we were able to quickly get the vertex, quickly identify a, use that a in the appropriate way to find the focus and the directrix. How did I know to add it to x? I drew a picture. What am I remembering? That all the movement happens to the non-squared variable.